So hopefully by now you've gotten into the routine of watching these videos and then about a week later submitting the assignment. Um, and so after you have completed now your free write, you need to do your PICO question and statement of intent. This is a relatively easy assignment to complete, but is a very difficult assignment to really come to grips with because this represents really your last chance before you pick your final topic that will eventually be presented on the day of graduation. On graduation day, we invite friends and family to come and we do a presentation of our thesis. And so after this, all of the assignments are actually going to be part of that thesis. And so if you change after this assignment, then you're going to end up having to redo assignments that you've done previously. So before you complete this assignment, make sure you've spent the time to do that free write, to think about it a little bit, as well as talk with your classmates, maybe with myself as well, and make sure that this is something that you are willing to spend um, the next 3 semesters working on. And so for the assignment, like I said, relatively easy to do. I'm going to ask you to write out your specific PICO question. If you don't have experience with PICO questions, talk to me about that. But PICO questions are relatively simple. The P is for your patient population. Specifically, who are you going to be recruiting to do this research on? The I is your intervention, what you're going to be manipulating, how you're going to be changing between the groups. You can think of this as your independent variable from the scientific method. C is your comparison group. Are we going to be comparing to a true control group? Are we going to do a test-retest design where we're going to be comparing to them uh, before and after? Are we going to do a comparison where each person participates in each group, and so we're going to compare to themselves in the other intervention group? And then O is the outcome. This is, your dependent variable, what you expect to be different between the groups. So you can either write that in question format, or you can just write out P and what your patient population is, what your intervention is. Either one, it does not need to be in question format for this. It's more important that you've just identified those 4 key components to your research project. Then your last portion of this is just going to be a paragraph describing some of your project specific components. First is going to be the recruitment methods. We've been focusing on this throughout the process, but specifically, how are we going to go about recruiting these individuals? Are we going to be putting up flyers? Are we going to be talking to coaches? Or, how are we going to try to get these different participants with that? A basic description of our intervention and our variable of interest. So like, what are we actually testing and what are we looking to be different? So this is the I and the O in your PICO question. And then from there, what is going to be the equipment that we need and where are we going to do the testing? So are we going to need any specific equipment that we either don't currently have, or are we going to need to borrow it? Is it something that we have already that's just stored someplace, and so that's where we're going to have to do our testing? Any of those sorts of aspects with there. For locations, there are lots of different options, but we need to identify specifically where we're going to do our testing. So again, this isn't a very difficult project or assignment to complete. Once you know what you're doing, the hard part is actually committing to something for the next 18 months or so, which can be a daunting thing, and I understand that. So please reach out if you need anything from there. And as always, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.